Hi viewers, this is Swami, Assistant Professor of Zoology. In this class, we are going to discuss the ecosystem, structure and function. Under this topic, we are going to discuss the introduction and scope of ecology, branches of ecology, levels of organization of the ecology, structure of ecosystem, abiotic components, biotic components, and the functions of the ecosystem. Ecology is the science that deals with the various principles which govern the relationship and interdependence between the organisms and their environment. The term ecology was coined by combining two Greek words, ecos meaning the house and logos means the study of. So, ecology is the study of organisms with their respective environment. The term ecology first coined by the German scientist Ernest Haeckel in 1869, but the word ecology was introduced by Ritter in 1968. Different scientists they define the ecology in various manners. Here we will see Charles Elton. Charles Elton defined the ecology as the study of biotic communities or the science of communities and populations, whereas Taylor defined the term ecology as the science of all the relations of all the organisms to all their environments. And G.L. Clark defined ecology as the study of interrelations of plants and animals with their environment, which includes the influence of other plants and animals as well as those of physical features. And finally, the modern definition of ecology is the study of the structure and function of nature. And ecology is useful in agriculture, fisheries, forestry, biological survey, pest control, pollution control, soil conservation, and the wildlife conservation. That is, ecology can be defined more specifically as the study of the interactions between organisms and the non living components of their environment. Now, if we see the image of Ernest Haeckel, he was Ernest Haeckel who coined the term ecology for the first time. And let us see the branches of ecology. Ecology is divided into four main branches, namely ecology, synecology, habitat ecology, and the applied ecology. Ecology is the study of individual species or its population in relation to the environment. That is nothing but the ecology is also known as species ecology, individual species ecology. And whereas synecology is the study of communities in relation to environment. Community ecology or community in relation to the environment. And habitat ecology is the study of different habitats and their effects on the other organisms. And here the habitat ecology is subdivided into marine ecology, freshwater ecology, terrestrial ecology. And again, the terrestrial ecology is furthermore subdivided into forest ecology, crop and land ecology, grassland ecology, desert ecology, and so on. And coming to the fourth one, applied ecology, it is a study of specialized fields of ecology which are connected with conservation of natural resources. Some branches of applied ecology are conservation ecology, pollution ecology, human ecology, space ecology, system ecology, radiation ecology, production ecology, and the population ecology. These are the branches of applied ecology. Basically, there are only four branches. These are the sub branches of the applied ecology. So, these all are different branches of ecology based on different factors. And coming to the levels of organization. So here let us start with the atom, followed by molecule, cell, tissue, organ level, organ system level, organism level, population, community, ecosystem, biome, and the biosphere. There are different levels within the biosphere, within the ecosystem or ecology. Here also see there is a hierarchy: atom, molecule, organelle, cell, organ, organ system, organism, population, community, ecosystem, biome, and the biosphere. And here we have started with the individual and population of that particular individual, community of different populations, and ecosystem, and finally the global process, that is the biosphere. These are the levels of organization. And coming to the ecosystem, ecosystem is the basic fundamental unit. Ecosystem is the basic fundamental unit of ecology. It includes both living organisms and the non-living environment which influence each other for maintenance of the life. The term ecosystem was proposed by a British ecologist, A.G. Townsley, in 1935, and according to the Odom, he defined the ecosystem as the basic fundamental unit of ecology which includes both the living and non-living environment, each influencing the properties of the other, and each is necessary for the maintenance of the life. And according to the Madhavan, he defined the ecosystem as the sum of total living organisms, the environment, and the process of interaction between the various components of the system. And according to the Michael Alabi, he defined the ecosystem as a community of interdependent organisms together with the environment. So, an ecosystem may, in its simplest form, be defined as a self sustained community of plants and animals existing in its own environment. So, that is, ecosystem is a open system with a continuous but variable influx and loss of materials and the energy. So, an ecosystem may represents at the highest level of ecological integration, which is energy based and capable of energy transformation, accumulation, and the circulation. So, there are different levels where we can see the global level, that is the biosphere level of the ecosystem, and followed by the subglobal level, that is biogeographical realms. For example, the Palearctic realm, Oriental realm, and the Ethiopian realm, Neotropical realm, like the Australian realm, and it may be at the national or state level. So that is the distinctive geographical regions like the Himalayas, Gangetic Plains, and the Central India, Western Ghats, semi-arid deserts like that. And also even more at the local level, each area has a several structurally and functionally identifiable ecosystems such as different types of forest, grasslands, river catchments, mangrove swamps, and deltas, seashores, and the islands like that. So here you can observe different kinds of ecosystems, aquatic and as well as terrestrial, within the aquatic freshwater and as well as marine water and so on. So it was Odom. The principal steps of an ecosystem. In the operation of an ecosystem, reception of energy, manufacture of organic food by producers, consumption of organic material by consumers, decomposition into organic compounds, transformation of these compounds into the suitable nutrients. Then, so there are different terms: ecosystem, just now we discussed; habitat, that is the place where the organism lives; and ecological niche, the role of a species in a community, including its position in the food chain and interactions with other species, and the physical environment is the ecological niche of a organism, otherwise a species. And coming to the structure and functions of the ecosystem, these are the two major aspects of an ecosystem. Whereas if you call it as a structure, it includes consumption of biological community, number, distribution, etc. The quantity and distribution of non-living materials such as nutrients, water, etc. The range of conditions such as temperature, light, etc. Whereas if we call it as a function, that includes biological energy flow, cycling of materials, and biological or ecological regulation. Now, here the entire ecosystem comprised of two things: abiotic components and the biotic components. Abiotic means non-living and biotic means living. Abiotic, that includes soil, water, light, inorganic nutrients and the weather. Whereas biotic, that includes producers, consumers and the detrivores. Here the abiotic components, it includes the non-living physical factors that may influence an organism or ecosystem. These can be further divided into edaphic factors and as well as climatic factors. Edaphic factors of the environment like soil, soil texture, soil structure, soil pH, soil moisture, soil nutrients like the organic carbon, nitrogen, calcium, phosphorus. And whereas the climatic factors include the water, oxygen, carbon dioxide, light, temperature, climate, pressure, humidity, etc. There are certain topographic factors also. They include the altitude, slope, exposure and direction of the mountain chains, so on. This all comes under the abiotic components. Whereas the biotic components, they are divided into producers, consumers and as well as the decomposers. Producers are also known as the autotrophs, which synthesize their own food material. And consumers, they are also known as the heterotrophs, they consume and transfer the energy. Decomposers, they better known as the reducers or saprotrophs, they recycle the energy. And here within the biotic components, there are autotrophic components and the heterotrophic components. What are the autotrophic components? It consists of green plants and photosynthetic bacteria. They fix the solar energy by using simple inorganic substances and synthesize complex organic compounds. These members are also known as the producers of the ecosystem. Whereas the heterotrophic components, they consist of organisms which use the complex food material and which decompose the complex food material. They are divided into two categories: macro consumers and the micro consumers. The macro consumers again subdivided into herbivores and the carnivores. Herbivores are the plant eating organisms, and these are also known as the primary consumers. The best examples are insects, goats, cows, etc. And whereas the carnivores, these are the animals eating the organisms. Animal eating organisms are called as the carnivores. They are known as the secondary consumers. The best examples are the frog, snake, etc. And coming to the micro consumers, these micro consumers, they are known as the detrivores, otherwise the saprotrophs. These organisms feed on dead and decay material of the organisms, and they break them down into simple compounds. They are also known as the decomposers or detrivorous animals. Decomposer is an organism which does enzymatic degradation of the uh, dead material into simpler inorganic substances. The best examples are the bacteria and fungi. Some of the times, the detrivores like the earthworms. Here, these are the producers. Apart from the biotic components, these all are the producers. Herbivores are primary consumers, and carnivores secondary consumers, and top carnivores tertiary consumers, and some of them there are the quaternary consumers are also there, and these are the detrivorous organisms. This entire it is a biotic community. And coming to the functions of the ecosystem. Functions, ecosystem function is the technical term used to define the biological and geochemical and physical process and components that take place or occur within the ecosystem. And maintaining of ecosystem function is important in maintaining the capacity of the region to supply ecosystem services. And here we can see the functions of the ecosystem are categorized into four types. There are 19 ecosystem functions have been listed, and they are included into four categories based upon their functional role. What are the four categories are: regulating functions, supporting functions, provisioning functions, and the cultural functions. Let us see one by one. So these all are the different kinds of functions: regulating, provisioning, supporting, and the cultural functions. Apart from the regulating functions, see here of about here 10 functions are assigned, grouped under the regulating functions: gas regulation, climate regulation, disturbance regulation, water regulation, soil retention, nutrient regulation, waste treatment, pollination, biological control, and the barrier effect of vegetation. These all are the regulating functions of the ecosystem. And coming to the supporting functions, there are only two supporting functions. One is the supporting of habitats and soil formation. These two comes under the supporting functions. And coming to the third one, provisioning functions. There are six provisioning functions. where the provision of food, raw material, water supply, genetic resources, shade and shelter, and pharmacological resources. These are provided by the ecosystem. These are the provisioning functions. And finally, the fourth one, only one thing is included under the cultural functions, that is a landscape opportunity. The extent and variety of natural features are the landscapes. So the landscape opportunity comes under the cultural functions. Now the ecosystem functions are natural process are characteristic exchanges of the energy that takes place in the various animal and plant communities of the different biomes of the world. Primarily, these are exchange of energy and nutrients in the food chain, which are vital to the sustenance of the plant and animal life on the planet, as well as the decomposition of the organic matter, production of the biomass made possible in the photosynthesis. Here, the ecosystem functions and ecosystem services. So, these are all interlinked with each other and they are working for the human welfare. So this is a relationship within the ecosystem. So here this is the solar energy absorbed by the plants through the process of photosynthesis. It is transferred to the herbivores, carnivores, and as well as the other top carnivores. And here there is a relationship in between the animals and plants to the atmosphere, like the oxygen, carbon dioxide, and the water. And here there are the decomposers and retrievers, and all the plants and the animals after the death they become decomposed, and all the nutrients and minerals they enter into the soil, and this soil provides nutrients to the growth and photosynthesis of the plants. So there is a interrelationship among the individuals and the individuals with the environment. And there are different examples of the ecosystem functions. Let us see. The young plants, the young plant shoots actively produce biomass to achieve the growth. Dead organic matter decompose into humus. Plant seeds disperse in various places through special accessory or animals as vectors and germinate in area where they get deposited, and animals find their mate and reproduce. Waste materials are degraded and recycled back into the soil, and grazing predation takes place, balancing plant and animal population. So this is all about the different examples of the ecosystem functions. The quality and quantity of these ecosystem functions largely depends upon the development stage of the ecosystem on which these processes are dependent generally. This is all about the structure and functions of the ecosystem. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.